So much Texas talk to get to here at the Voice of College Football, and we got the right man on the job. We got Nick Battle from Nino's Corner. So as soon as you get done watching this video, if you have yet to check out Nick's work, just put in Nino's Corner right here on YouTube, and you will find a ton of Texas football content. Nick, how we doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. How you doing, Mark?
Doing well. Appreciate you coming on board here.
Yeah, man.
The news that hit everybody a couple days ago was Jake Smith, wide receiver, who really was productive out of the slot the last 2 seasons, his first 2 seasons in Austin, 48 catches, 9 touchdowns. But he surprisingly had an issue with a foot that held him out of spring practice. I know Steve Sarkisian made a comment. He was all excited about him coming back and being available fully for summer workouts, but lo and behold, he has decided to hit the transfer portal.
Yeah, man. So Jake's mentioned the transfer portal. So last year there was like a huge rumor about this also, that maybe he was going to hit the actual portal last year also, but he didn't. But he's been so banged up here, lately, man. We haven't really got to see the greatness of him yet. So he's a former National Player of the Year, coming out of high school. Very, very productive at that level. Hasn't been what we thought he was going to be here in Texas, but it just takes time sometimes. And, just for his sake, he didn't get the chance to actually show that yet. He's just, so he's just been nagging with the injuries and things like that. But I hate to see him go, but, it is what it is, man.
Top 50 player in his class of 2019, top 10 rated wide receiver. Jake Smith, we'll see where he lands. He's got to make a decision pretty quickly. Keilan Lee is also a very talented player, and unfortunately, he's run into some issues, and he's off the football team.
Yes, sir. So he got arrested around 2 days ago, I think, for assault. So, he's a talented kid, a talented slot guy. Came out of Bryan, high school actually Rudder High School out of Bryan, College Station area. Fast kid, very quick twitch kid. He played everything in high school, from wide receiver to defensive back. He was the team there. So played at the highest level also, so he was a really, really good player in high school. Comes to Texas. He just got on campus here not too long ago, and then he has this hiccup, So yeah, man, he's just off the team as of now. I actually hated for the kid because I was very excited, just to see him play.
So we'll stay with the wide receiver position, because with 2 pretty prominent players, and obviously Jake Smith with all that experience from the last 2 seasons out of the mix, it brings into question one Xavier Worthy, who comes to Texas via Michigan. He was a Alabama lean who made the decision to go to Michigan initially. Now he's in Texas, and he's signed and sealed. And you got Jordan Hudson as well. That's kind of a different story. Maybe we'll focus on Worthy, but your thoughts about Xavier Worthy and how he may fit into the mix?
Oh, man, Worthy is the kind of wide receiver that Steve Sarkisian covets and loves. He loves speed. I mean, a ton of speed. So Worthy comes from Fresno, California. I think he ran like a sub 10.6, I think in the 100-meter dash. So, I mean, he's a legit 4.4 guy. I mean, he's a fast kid. So this is the kind of player that Sark loves to have on his team. He's going to be a guy that's going to push for some playing time, hopefully this year, actually. He is that fast. He is that electric. And so he might be playing that actual slot position also.
Got Nick Battle on the line from Nino's Corner. Join him on YouTube, breaking down Texas football on a regular basis, and also your podcast as well. Let people know where they can find that.
Yes, sir. Nino's Corner. Just Google it. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Breaker. You will find it. It's there, man. It's been there for a couple of years now. So,
yeah. Then we've got again. You mentioned Jordan Hudson, a wide receiver, very talented guy who had committed to OU, but he's back. And has opened up his recruitment. What are your thoughts about his availability in Texas's shot?
Oh, man, Jordan Hudson, he's probably the best wide receiver in the state, if not the country, man. He is a fast guy. Like I tell you guys, Sark loves his speed, right? This kid is very fast, quick twitch. He was he actually, had to pen the paper almost to go to OU. And, me being a Texas guy, we want to try to keep these guys in the state of Texas. He's from Garland. All right. So like I said before, there's a bunch of pictures with him throwing up the horns down when he, actually committed. But now he's taking a visit here this weekend to Texas. So hopefully he can stay in the Texas area, stay at UT, man, and just have his family be able to come see him play every weekend. But he's an electric player. He's a guy that every school in the country wants. So we would love to have him stay here at Texas. And hopefully we can kind of just reel him in this weekend.
Jordan Hudson out of Garland, Texas, 14th rated wide receiver in the country, according to the composite, top 120 player, something in that range, nationally, top number 23 player in the state of Texas. And man, all the crystal ball prognostications from 247 Sports coming in. SMU.
Yeah, he just had an SMU visit that went very well, like this past weekend. So we'll see. SMU's been kind of getting some good players here lately, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that. We hope he comes to Texas. I think Texas would be the better fit, but that's just me. I'm a Texas fan and a Texas grad.
So it's still early in the game, obviously. We're looking at a signing period in December. We're still 6 months away. And then with 2023 back, of course, we're a year and a half away from running back Reuben Owens, a 5-star, arguably the best running back in that class, who's been looking at Texas. He decommits. Where do you think he stands?
Oh, man. So, it's hard to keep a kid for 2 years. It's hard to keep him for 6 months, but to keep a kid committed to a school for 2 years is almost impossible. I think I've seen it done just a couple times over the past probably 10 years or so. He actually decommits from Texas, but Texas is still in the mix. You got the big boys coming to get him. You got Texas, you got LSU, you got Alabama, you got guys like Ohio State. Everybody's in the mix with this, but I think this is more of a kid wanting to enjoy his recruitment, wanting to take visits and not feel bad about taking those visits. And then Mark just taking the best situation for him, whether it's Texas, it's LSU or Bama, what have you. So, yeah.
And then also there's the story of Jaydon Blue. We just keep running you through all these players and what the latest is on these guys. But Jaydon Blue, what's the scoop on him?
Yeah, so Jaydon Blue opted out of the senior season of high school. And he had like a long, message on a Twitter that basically said he wants to save his body, just get everything ready for the college level, continue to train and things of that nature. But he is still committed to Texas, came on a visit last week. And, just from all the reports, he's still heavy, trying to get players to come to Texas with him, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, he's still a guy that is coming to UT. He's just taking off his senior year so that he can, focus on football and actually working out to get ready for the college level.
In some of the chats that you see online and the conversation surrounding his decision, now I'm going to guess the Texas-based people are certainly fine with it because he's coming your way. But just in regards to any criticism out there of him opting out for that final season in high school?
So there's a mixed bag on this 50-50, right? Because we all know running backs have so many hits in them. It is what it is. They have so many hits in them before they're gone. And I guarantee there's a bunch of players who wish that they had one more season left in them. And especially at the Texas high school football level, it's basically like a mid-tier college level, especially playing at the level that he's playing at. And he's a guy that's going to get a ton of carries, so he's going to get beat up pretty much the whole season. So this is just keeping his body right. Half the players, well, not players, but half the fans are basically saying that, hey, this is not showing a person who is going to lead his team well. And then half the fans are saying that they totally understand it. So, Mark, I'm always on the side of the player, right? I'm always going to be, I'm a player's guy. Hey, if he feels like that's what he needs to do to keep him mentally ready and to keep him physically ready for the college game, I'm all for it, as long as he comes to Texas.
As long as he comes to Texas. That's the condition right there. That's the disclaimer.
That's the condition, man.
Well, it is a free society. So we all have our decisions to be made. We all have our career and lifestyle to protect. Now it's up to those people that are going to employ him. Now, I'm using this term generically. He's not going to be an employee, but you know what I mean, on the collegiate level first. And then those kind of decisions are made at the collegiate level toward the NFL draft. It's up to that potential employer to make the decision as to whether they think that that's some type of character issue or is a warning sign. But we all have that decision to make in regards to our own careers, and Jaydon Blue has made that. And I find it interesting, the discrepancy here. So 247 Sports has him rated as the number 1 rated running back in the country and a
Yep.
top 10 player in the state of Texas, number 31 overall. So number 1 at running back. The composite has him at number 8. So when you take that into consideration, there's only 2 other services involved. So for a player to be number 1 in one service at running back and to be number 8 overall means he's got to be like 15, 16, 18, something in that range by the other 2 services to weigh down that number. So that's just kind of interesting. And again, the composites got him at 105 overall, and 247 Sports high on him at number 31 overall. And again, there's a discrepancy there.
Yeah, so the actual problem with that is once he actually said that he's going to opt out, he dropped a ton in rivals. I think over like 100 spots, like just in his national ranking. So that is what skewed it. That is what skewed it. Is that rivals dropped him a bunch, and it skewed his metric up for his total composite score.
Texas and Steve Sarkisian going the route of Alabama, of course, with Ben Davis a couple months ago and getting him into the fold. Keilan Robinson as well coming in from Alabama, and he might be able to make an instant impact.
Speed, man. That's what I keep trying to tell you, Mark. It says speed. Keilan Robinson was the home run hitter at Bama. He actually opted out last year, just due to COVID. But Nick Saban has been quoted by saying that this guy has the juice. And when Saban says somebody has the juice, you just got to believe it. He's a guy who can, turn a just a simple 5-yard run to an easy 20-yard runs. He is just that fast. So he comes to Texas, and it looks like he'll be backing up Bijan Robinson, of course, but he'll be in constant rotation, and it's going to be a good battle between him and Roschon Johnson. And then we also got Mr. Texas football, Jonathan Brooks, who is the true freshman this year. So I think we're going to be fine at, just at that back position this year. So losing a guy like, Owens isn't too bad as of yet, but we are pretty stacked at that position. It's been that first time in a long time.
Keilan Robinson, as you mentioned, Nick, opted out in 2020, back in 2019. Lugged it 39 times at 6.5 yards per carry. He's originally out of Washington, D.C. as the 15th rated running back in his class out of D.C. Nick Battle's on the line, folks. Head on over to his channel, Nino's Corner, right here on YouTube. Check out his Texas content. It is first rate. That's why we bring him on here. And we appreciate him jumping on with his insight and information. So June has been just ridiculous across the board, regardless of the team you follow, because basically I heard this statistic to open up June, Nick, and this just gives you an idea of what recruiting is going to look like the rest of the summer. Only 10% of the commits that we would typically see in a normal year had been committed by June 1st, meaning only 10% of the players that we would typically have a commitment out of, and basically their commitment would be to a certain extent over because of the dead period, obviously. So the floodgates are open now. Players are visiting weekend to weekend all over the place and going to be making commitments. We've seen a few. I got to think near the end of June, going into July, the floodgates are going to be open. 2 huge weekends when we look back, 1 weekend at Texas, and then coming up here, especially concerning that offensive line position.
Yes, sir. So we got 3 guys coming in this weekend. Devin Campbell, who was one of the top guards here in the country, 5-star guy. He'll be at Texas this weekend on a visit. Also, let me get his name, Ernest Green. He's from St. John Bosco, just out in California. He's going to be out here for a visit also. And also Cam Williams from Duncanville, Texas, a big tackle / guard out of Duncanville. So we got 3 guys. If Texas can pull 1, 2, or cross your fingers, get all 3 of those guys, man, it'd be an amazing haul. In the previous week, we had Cam Dewberry come in also. And we all know he's one of the most coveted offensive linemen here in the country. So it's going to be a battle between Texas and Texas A&M, I think, for the most part on that. But he sent out a cryptic tweet last week, Mark, actually Instagram Live. He put, and I'm going to quote you, Mark. Let me read this. It says, "We finna take over Austin." And those guys that are on that picture are Kelvin Banks Jr., who is probably the best pure tackle here in the state this year. Jaydon Blue, who's already a Texas commit. Of course, Cam, he's on there. Denver Harris, who's one of the top defensive backs here in the state, who is going to be a Texas Alabama battle. Harold Perkins, one of the best linebackers here in the state, and also Chris Ross, who's already committed to Texas. So Cam Dewberry putting out that message on Instagram saying that they're going to take over Austin, and a picture of him and those other 5 guys. It makes Texas fans very giddy, because Cam Dewberry is one of those guys that you want to get. And it looks like Jaydon Blue has been trying to get him to come to Texas for quite some time now. So hopefully Texas can pull in a guy like Cam Dewberry, a guy like Kelvin Banks Jr., a guy like Devin Campbell, maybe Connor Robinson as well. Just give us all the offensive linemen. We need them. We need them in the worst way.
It's the second-rated class in the Big 12 as it stands right now, 8th in the country. In a sense, doesn't mean a whole lot, but we know that Texas is certainly going to hold on to that position, at least, if not improve it, you would think, based on what they're doing on the recruiting path right now under Sark. Nick Battle, tearing it up. So join him on Nino's Corner right here on YouTube. It's good stuff. We always appreciate it, Nick. You do a great job of covering Texas football and giving your take on the situation there in Austin.
All right. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me again.
Awesome. Good stuff, man.